Hello, I'm Carolyn Herbert from the Finance News Network, and joining me from cancer drug development company Noxopharm is Managing Director and CEO Dr. Graham Kelly. Graham, welcome back.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Now, can you start by giving us a quick recap of your lead drug candidate and where you're at in terms of development?
Sure. Well, the candidate is called NOX66, and it's intended to make existing therapies, that's chemotherapy and radiotherapy, not just work better, but to actually start working, which at the moment they don't do for most people with most forms of cancer.
And talking a bit more about NOX66, you've just commenced human trials. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, well, we have quite an extensive clinical trial program now underway, and we've just announced the first trial, which is in conjunction with a common chemotherapy drug called carboplatin. So we're using it in patients who have got late-stage cancers, and these are patients who you would not normally expect to show any response at all anymore to a drug like carboplatin. We're hoping that our drug NOX66 can now make them respond to that drug.
So can you update us on the clinical trials of NOX66 in conjunction with radiotherapy?
Yes, well, NOX66 is designed to make tumours respond better to both radiotherapy and chemotherapy. So the first study we've announced relates to chemotherapy. So the next two studies that we have in mind are going to be with radiotherapy. Ultimately, there will be 5 clinical studies altogether, all looking at either radiotherapy alone or chemotherapy alone, or one study we're going to do with both chemo and radiotherapy.
So based on your different trials, where do you think NOX66 will be used first?
It's hard to know. I mean, in terms of which clinical trials we've got running, they'll all be running in parallel. But where might this drug end up in the clinic on the market? We suspect it will probably be in conjunction with radiotherapy, but that's yet to be found.
And now to financials. How much are you spending on trials, and when do you expect first revenues?
Well, we raised $6 million last August. We have currently about $4.5 million left. That will see us through to the end of the current phase 1 program. It's worth pointing out that some of the trials that we have running are what are called investigator initiated, which means that all we are doing is paying for the cost of the drug. The other 3 studies we are paying for ourselves. But again, the money we have will see us through to the end of that program.
So Graham, what can shareholders expect in terms of news flow in the near term?
Well, quite a lot. We have 5 clinical studies about to start, as I said, and 5 clinical studies will produce a lot of news flow. But beyond that, we also have some R&D projects which we'll be talking about more and more. So I think over the course of the next year, there will be a significant amount of news flow coming. And
finally, Graham, where do you hope to see Noxopharm 12 months from now?
Well, I think by the end of this year we'll have clear evidence, we hope, that the drug is working, and that will put us in a position where we can then jump into registration studies next year.
Dr. Graham Kelly, thanks for the update.
Thank you, Carolyn.